all states, but we also have regional organizations. So you can see we have Ag Innovation West, North Central, South, Northeast, and the Association of 1990s Research Administrators, or ARD, directors. And so all of us together form this larger national organization called Ag Innovation. What I really want to, as communicators, this is the important slide. So this is resources for you. We have a multi-state research fund impact program, and it's the first QR code, and this will take you to individual projects and impact statements. So usually a one-pager about the project, and you can use them as starting points if you have an interest. It's a wide variety of topics. We're required to spend 25% of our funding on multiple multi-state projects. So that brings in universities. For example, you might have University of Arkansas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma State, all working on an issue that is important. It may be a national issue, but it's really important in this region. Secondly, we impacts database, which covers all parts of the land grant. So it has impact statements on extension, it has impact statements on research, and impact statements on our academic programs. And then the last is our web, it's our externally facing. When we rebranded, we also decided that we really needed to have more of an external facing presence. And so we redid our web page. We have an internal web page but this is our externally facing web page. We'd like to offer and welcome any interest that you may have in and help you along. We formed a group called the Southern Research Communications Consortium. Now there are also the similar consortia in each one of our regional areas. And these are consortia, are groups of ag communicators at each one of our land-grant universities. So it's a way to get right into the door into those groups. And so if something interests you, please contact me. We're over here. We have an exhibitor booth, and appreciate you coming by. We also have the QR codes on a one-pager over there, and a little bit about us. If you have any interest, please stop by the table. And I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words to you this morning. Thank you so much. I'm going to snag this. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Ag Innovation, for being a sponsor of the Ag Media Summit. And now I'd like to introduce our speaker for today. Katelynn Baer is a full-time photographer, videographer, and storyteller, passionate about creating meaningful visuals for brands, families, and individuals. With a bachelor's and master's degree from Illinois State, Katelynn is rooted in agriculture and thrives on bringing its people and stories to life through photo and video. So I just want to give a big round of applause to Katelynn, and I'm turning it over to her so she has more time.
Thank you very much. All right, can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. Wonderful. Got to get all these pop-ups gone. All right, so we are here today. We are going to talk about efficiency hacks. I am going to tell you, go ahead and get your phones out right now, because there's going to be things during this presentation that you're going to want to use your phones for. Go ahead, get those out, and we will get started. So we are going to talk about how we can elevate our video production with our phone, but we're also going to talk about some other efficiency tips, because when we're talking about video, we're not just talking about shooting and being done. There's a lot more that goes into the process, and where we can be efficient in that whole process is also what we want to talk about. So I am a fast talker. If anybody has been in my presentations before, I have so much I want to talk to you guys about, and so I'm going to go fast. We're going to touch some topics a little bit on the surface. We're going to get a little bit deeper on some, but I just want you to know, I apologize. but keep up. You guys can do it, okay? All right, so everybody calls me Kate. I am a photographer and videographer. For some of you who do know me, know that I worked for Growmark for about 6 years and recently just left because I have the cutest little 6-month-old at home, and I wanted to be with him. I wanted to watch him grow up, and I knew that I could do this on the side. So with that, things are going great. Things are booming. I joked with my husband I should have done this a long time ago. So now I am an official boss mom and chasing all of these dreams, these creative dreams. So my husband and I do farm. Like I said, I just became a mom. I have a almost 7-month-old. And one other thing I want to touch base, you guys are probably like, oh, video, like this is going to be great. Processes. I love processes. So that's why a lot of times when I do present, I like to talk about the process behind that. I'm a big Marie Kondo fan, a place for everything, everything in its place. And that also can come into the creative work that we do as well. So, all right, with that, let's go ahead and get started. So if you leave here today curious, if you wrote some stuff down, if you're going to go research it after the fact, then I've done my job. And so that's why go ahead, get those phones out, get those notepads out, because I am going to tell you a few times throughout this presentation, hey, write this down. I want you to look this up later because we're not going to have time to actually dive into like a lot of these topics, but we are going to have time to touch on them, get you curious about it, and then that way you can go research it later. Okay, I'm going to take this mic out. All right, so the script. So I was real proud of myself for this, guys. I actually created this presentation, sort of like the script, scene 1. Yeah. All right, so this is the agenda for today. So what we're going to go over, scene 1, why it matters. What is it? It is mobile videography and efficiency. We're also going to talk about pre-production, prepping your phone and knowing your settings. How many of you are shooting and you're like, what is this HDR? What is this cinematic mode? What is 24 frames per second? What is 120 frames per second? We're going to go over that. We're going to talk about using AI. I'm sure you guys have probably heard a lot about AI this week. Probably if you've been to other conferences, AI is like a very popular topic. We're going to talk about it a little bit as well in terms of efficiency. We're going to talk about shooting smarter. And then we are going to get into accessories a little bit. In terms of what you can have on your person when you're out at photo shoots to help make the process a little bit easier. And if we can get there, and this is why I want to go fast, and I want to be really fast-paced, we are going to do some live editing, okay? So I really want to get there. All right, so get those phones out for me. All right, scan that QR code. And here's what I want to know. I want to know what phones are you using and what apps are you using. So you should just be able to type that in. If you can, don't use spaces. I know we're all communicators. Don't use spaces just because when you use a space, it takes it as 2 words. So we're going to go ahead, scan those in. I'm going to wait till we at least have like 25 answers up here. And don't forget to type in what apps you're using. A lot of iPhones, cool. I'm also an iPhone user, so I tend to talk iPhone more than anything. Got a couple CapCut users, some users, Adobe, so Premiere Pro. All right, cool. All right, next one. What is your biggest hurdle or frustration when creating mobile video? This one, try to just use one word. One word, frustration. Time. I kind of had a feeling that one was going to be one of the biggest ones. Editing, sound, consistency, sharpness, stabilization. All right, cool. I love this. All right, we're going to talk about a lot of these. A lot of these that are popping up we're going to talk about. So this is great. All right. So really quickly, let's talk about why efficiency matters. Oops. We're going to save time. If we can be efficient about what we're doing, we're going to save time. We're going to reduce stress. Okay. Somebody said comparability. I'm assuming that's probably from clip to clip, and making sure that it's comparable. It all looks the same, so on and so forth. And that consistency comes in there. Okay. So when you're editing, that consistency from shot to shot, if you're using a phone or if you're using a gimbal or whatever you're doing when you're bringing it into Premiere Pro, we're going to talk about that consistent content. In terms of that consistent content, you want that repeatable process, right? And that's what we're going to talk about when it comes to frames per second. When it is this mic cutting back? Is it? Okay. I know I have to talk into it for that, but. All right, so why does mobile video matter? Around 75% of what we're consuming is happening on our mobile devices, okay? This came from a survey, Video Marketing Statistics and Trends in 2025, and I believe it said by like next year or a couple years that that's gonna be like 90%. Accessibility, almost everyone has a phone in their pocket, okay? Whether they're viewing or whether they're creating. And authenticity, this one's big. So in terms of authenticity, let me ask, just you can shout it out. If you see a reel, so think short form, okay, I'm talking short form here. If you see a short form and it looks too produced, what do? You swipe, right? Because you immediately think sponsored content, this is an ad, swipe. Okay, so the authenticity behind mobile video is huge, especially for those short form reels. And your phone is gonna give you a little bit more of that authentic content than like a mirrorless camera or a DSLR camera. All right, so let's get into pre-production. We're gonna talk about pre-shoot checks. We're gonna talk about understanding your camera settings, lighting and audio, scripts and shot lists. And we're gonna talk about communication. We're communicators in here, and if anybody has been on a shoot with me, you know that I'm probably a little bit of an over-communicator. All right, so when you're shooting, this seems really simple. Turn on some type of do not disturb or airplane mode. How many times are you shooting and all of a sudden you get a text and you get totally distracted and all of a sudden then you're going like this? Oh, got this text. You're gonna move that phone. You're gonna look at that text and then your shot is gonna be shakier than you need it. Clean your phone. By the way, this is my mom's phone. I took baby food and put it on her lens. She was really happy with me about it. So clean up your phone. You would be surprised what fingerprints will do to your lens on your phone. So every single time before you're taking a picture for something professional, I'm not saying if you take your phone out and you just want to take a picture of a pretty flower for Instagram or something. If you're gonna actually be using this as a professional tool for your company, clean the lens every time. And then composition settings. This is where you can write this down. This is a quick Google. Turn on your grids, turn on your leveler. Okay, it's in settings. I'm gonna really quick kind of show you where it's at. That's an iPhone on the left, Android on the right. And I'm gonna let you guys Google that afterwards. All right, so understanding your camera settings. How many of you have seen this stuff and have no idea what it means? And it's okay. Okay, so frames per second, what does that mean? So 24 or 30 frames per second, depending on what you have in your phone, that's gonna give you a little bit more of a cinematic feel to your footage. Think cinematic as there's kind of like that cinematic field of footage, and then you've got like your soap opera field of footage, right? We all know what we're talking about. Soap opera is a little bit more realistic to some extent, like it's just too sharp. So that 24 to 30 gives you that cinematic quality. When should you use 60 frames per second? So 60 frames per second can be very sharp. However, if you're doing a lot of action shots or if you're doing a lot of fast-paced stuff, hop over to 60 frames per second. In terms of like when I shoot on the drone, I'm almost always 60 frames per second. So when is 120 or 240 frames per second appropriate? That's dedicated slow motion. So that's when you're taking that footage and you're interpreting it into Premiere Pro or your editing apps as slow motion footage. 60 frames per second, just really quick, guys. It is also great if you're going to slow the footage down in your editing program because it's giving you more frames per second to do that. Okay, so that's when, if you know, like, you're using some, like, a hero shot of, like, somebody, like, walking, and you want it really slow and dramatic, then shoot that in 60. All right, so what's the popular choice? 24 frames per second is probably the most popular choice of what you can use, especially if it's talking head footage, okay? All right, so what is 4K? What is 1080? So 4K is very, very high quality, okay? It's croppable. So in terms of, did they have like any of the videos and stuff played yet? Like any of like the awards? Not yet. Okay, so I can't, okay, never mind. All right, so 4K is croppable. So if you're shooting on your phone, you could shoot an interview in 4K at 24 frames per second. I'm just kind of hopping to the end of putting it all together. And guess what? You have one phone, you can make it look like you actually have a 2-camera setup. Because if you frame your interviewee wide enough, then you can actually jump in closer and make it look like you have a couple camera angles. But you actually don't, you just have one. So 1080, it's if you're gonna do quick uploads or if you have some storage needs, like where a lot of us probably struggle with cloud storage or only having our phones, etc. 1080 is still a good option. There's no reason that 1080 isn't a good option, especially typically what platforms these videos that you're creating are going on. So which one should you use? You know, guys, it's really up to you and your projects, what you're doing. I would recommend shooting in 4K just because you're future-proofing that footage, meaning if 1080 ever did become like we didn't use it anymore, you would always have that 4K footage. Not to mention it can be cropped in. You just got, I would recommend using 4K if you can. All right. So my advice, get to know your camera settings. The more familiar you are with those camera settings, the more efficient and comfortable you're going to be in the moment when you're shooting. Because how many times have you been on a shoot and something's not going right and you're like, I really need to switch something, but I really can't take the time and I don't really know how without Googling it and it makes me nervous, and then you just have like, you just get in your own head, right? I'm seeing some head bobs. Absolutely, I've been there too. All right, so let's talk about audio. I always say audio is queen because we know who runs the world. So why is audio so important? People can forgive bad video quality. People cannot forgive bad audio. Okay, that's the one, if there's something you take away from here, take away that. People cannot forgive bad audio because we hear. How many times can we wash the dishes, hear something going on the TV, and not have to see it, but in our minds we're visualizing it? Yep, that's why audio is so important. So, audio, how many of you are using external mics? I want those hands high. Okay, how many of you are not using external mics? You're using like the internal mic on your phone. I want those hands high too. Okay. You guys are buying mics before the end of the week, okay? All right, internal mics, I'm not even gonna talk about them because I don't like them, okay? Premiere Pro can do a lot of good stuff in terms of fixing your audio, but you just need to be using external mics. These DJI mics, I've got a link later on. These are really great. They're compatible with your phones, your Samsungs, and your iPhones. And I will be including a link later so you guys can access these. So, external mics, it is going to be one of your best investments to elevate your videos. Same with lights. Okay, so lighting, natural lighting, use it if you have it, okay? So this guy right here, he was set up, the shop door is actually this direction of him, but I also had lights on him. I had 2 LED panel lights on him. Avoid backlighting, okay? Backlighting is going to create a silhouette. If he would have had backlight and I wouldn't have had any of the lighting on him, it would have created a silhouette. He would have been dark. Cameras just can't do both. Okay. And popular option, Neewer has a couple lightweight options for traveling, and I do have those linked. There's actually going to be a link at the very end that has like a little PDF that's going to have accessories, it's going to have lights, it's going to have some other things that I'm going to share with you too. So don't feel like you have to write any of that down. You will have a QR code for that. All right, so I know I'm in a room with a lot of storytellers, okay? But in terms of efficiency, and here's my unpopular opinion coming in, script your interviewee, okay? I know that a lot of you are like, oh, but then you don't get all those like really heartfelt stories. You can still do that. But if you script your interviewee and you come in and you know exactly what they need to say for the video, how much time are you saving not having to scrub through potentially 20 to 30 minutes of interview footage, right? So here's what I suggest. Here's what I have done. It works very well. So you can send your questions or maybe a little bit more simpler questions to the person that you're going to visit ahead of visiting them. Ask them to give you a couple sentence answers. Take that information and create a script with it. From there, you feed it to them like a wedding. You do not want them to memorize their storyboard or their script. You're going to feed it to them like a wedding. So repeat after me. I want it to be natural. If you want to like switch some stuff up, this is just kind of what I want you to feedback. I always also get approval. So before I even like go to their farm or anything like that, I'm getting their approval of, hey, here's a script. Hello? Okay, we'll try another mic.
Audio check.
Thanks. All right, so here's the script I came up with. Do you like it? Is it factual? Do you want to change it? And it really is a true win-win for them and for you or your editor. Your editor is going to love you because you're going to provide that script or that storyboard, and they're already going to know exactly how they need to edit it. So it saves time for everybody, and even your interviewee typically is more comfortable, and they feel more confident coming out of it. So you can still ask all the questions and ask additional questions when you're there, but this truly streamlines the workflow. So I will be, if you sign up for the one of the QR codes later on, I will send you this storyboard. It's through Adobe Express. But you can actually use AI to help storyboard things out here. So you can actually like use text to image, and then you can storyboard out exactly what footage you're going to capture, and then you can put like the description in there. You can put exactly what they're going to say for your editor. So this is a really big time-saving thing for everybody, and it's going to really enhance your video quality. So why are we scripting it? Precise storyboards. We know exactly what we need to shoot in terms of our shot lists. So you can have a list already done. So you're not sitting there and being like, okay, so Bob talked about pigs, family. He talked about his work at, in town at the Farm Bureau, etc. So you're not trying to remember that because you already have that information before you're going out. Which then, like I already said, efficient B-roll capture. All right, so let's talk a little bit about AI. How are we doing on time? Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna go through these fast. How many of you are using AI already? ChatGPT, Gemini, anything? Okay, cool, awesome. You can use AI to help. So write 5 interview questions. You can ask it that. You can ask it to write a script. So what I do is I actually feed my script back to AI. So see this tiny text right here? That text is specifically the answers to the questions that they sent me. This is messy. Keep it messy. Okay, I don't want you going through and formatting anything. AI is smart enough to figure it out. Okay, so this is exactly how I prompted it. Write it a 60 to 90 second video storyboard for Barb, who's a crop specialist. We asked her the following questions. These are her answers. Boom, chunked it in there. Here's what I was fed back. If you're using Copilot, Copilot is on the left, ChatGPT is on the right. I'll be honest, I like ChatGPT better. Copilot is a little more task-oriented, ChatGPT is a little bit more creative. I know exactly what I'm getting. Now, are these perfect? No, I would make changes. Like for example, some of it's like, oh, something over a sunrise, da-da-da-da-da-da. I am not waking up for a sunrise, okay? But we can still get a lot of these shots. So use AI to do that. All right, soapbox, communication, communication, communication. So when I am communicating with interviewees, I'm also using AI to help me come up with an agenda, a day of agenda, pre-communications, all of that, because it is saving me so much time doing so. So when I'm communicating, I am communicating all the expectations with my interviewee, okay? I'm explaining the what and the why. I have been on way too many video shoots where I get there and nobody explained what we are doing and why we are doing it. And to me, that is a huge issue, okay? So if it comes to you guys needing to communicate that, depending on how your projects are lined up, making sure the person knows the what, why are we there? Okay, what are we doing, why are we there? Estimated time commitment. I had somebody cancel because nobody told them that the estimated time commitment was gonna be probably around 3/4 of a day. Okay, so when I sent over the day of agenda, they were like, whoa, I didn't realize I had to give a whole day up. And I was like, oh, nobody told you that, okay? Location and B-roll, making sure like they know like, hey, I'm gonna need your help because you are the expert of where you live or where you work. And so I'm gonna need your help in terms of finding a location. And people to be in the B-roll. We can only get so many shots of one person walking around, okay? How many times is that like your typical, okay, so can you walk around down this sidewalk or down this field or, right? We can only get so many of those walking shots, but if we can ask them to get a couple people in their video with them, usually people are more than willing to oblige. All right, and then explain the how. How are we doing all this? Okay, because how many of you are single shooters or small shop? I figured. Okay, cool. So then I'm also going to be communicating the interview questions and next steps. And then I'm gonna do the day of agenda. So I communicate big time and people appreciate it because they know exactly what they're getting themselves into, the time commitment, and exactly how the day is gonna go, okay? I'm not gonna really talk about this because I'm just gonna show you. If you wanna take a picture of this, you can. AI is a huge time saver. This is everything that I am putting in an agenda. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next slide and I am going to go ahead and show you what AI will do. All right, 5 seconds and then I'm gonna keep going. And I'll make sure that I send this later too. All right, so messy, keep it messy. Anytime I'm going to tell you to use AI, I want it to be messy. I know we like periods in the right spots. I know we like good grammar, but I don't care about this. This has probably so many typos. So this is what AI can do. I'm going to mute this just because if it picked up my audio, my child was screaming in the background. So it was Ferber methoding, if anybody knows what that is. So this is everything that AI gave me. Okay? So I'm going to take this. Am I going to copy and paste it directly into an email to the person and hit send? Absolutely not. Okay? I want you to read through it. I want you to make changes. But this is exactly what I'm using because it saves me so much time. Could you imagine how much time I would spend putting this together if I had to type all of this out? Instead, I messily typed something that took me about maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And it spit all that back out. Okay? Cool. My favorite part of this, next steps and action items. Never forget your next steps and action items. All right. We're going to keep on keeping on. Let's talk about AI and editing. How many of you are shooters and editors? How many are just editors? Any just editors? How many of you have somebody else editing for you? Okay, so a little mix. All right, text-based editing. How many of you are using text-based editing? Okay, everybody is going to use it when we leave here as long as you're using Adobe Premiere Pro. Well, actually, there's other ones too that can use it. CapCut can do it too. Write that down, text-based editing. Okay, we are going to get to the live demos, but we got to get through these. It's awesome. There's AI in your audio and your music, okay? So it can clean up audio. I mean, what it can do now, because it's using AI to enhance your audio, is insane. Okay, it can clean up a lot of background noise. Again, that doesn't mean go out in a field when it's windy as all get out and then expect the programs to do it like really good, okay? But write that down. And closed captions. Don't forget about closed captions. That's huge. That's becoming a really big thing to have closed captions on the videos. All right, so we are going to actually get through these pretty fast because these are going to be a lot of those write down, research later things. Shoot smarter. So haptics and shortcuts. Did you know that your phone, you can actually like back tap it, get your camera up in like a hot second? Okay, so there's a lot of shortcut gestures. Don't forget about auto exposure and autofocus locking on your phone. And Androids, if you have Androids, a lot of it is voice enabled to take shots and start recording. iPhone, rumor has it that the beta iOS 26 is also going to have a lot of that stuff. I am not telling you to go out and download the iOS beta. Would you like a guide like this? Okay, you're going to get it, okay? We're not going to go over this because you're going to get it later, but this is a nice big list of general B-roll shots that you can get when you're out and about and just have it in your pocket. All right, so rule of thirds. How many of you guys you're always framing your interviewee just right and you don't have to ever like make any changes post, okay? Make sure that you are following the rule of thirds when you're framing your interviewee. How many of you are shooting landscape? Okay, how many of you are shooting horizontal? Most everybody. How many of you are shooting both? Because you need both. Okay, we're going to talk about that. So, horizontal or landscape? If you have to choose one, choose horizontal, but shoot it so your editor or you can crop it. Okay, so we're going to play a fun game. For some of my people in the room, the familiar faces, you guys have played this game, so don't cheat. We're going to call flop or crop, and it's a game where if you're shooting, can you use your shot both horizontally and vertically? Okay, we're going to go through these really fast, so everybody's just going to yell out flop or crop, okay? So if I have this shot, this person was walking this line right here, can I crop this one to use it both? Yes, you got it. This is a crop shot. Crop shot, exactly. What about this one? Nice landscape shot, ice, flop or crop? Flop. At first you're like, yeah, that's got a nice leading line in there, but when you have to crop it to the 9:16 ratio, it's pretty much a flop. All right, how about this one? If you've got somebody bending down, doing something, flop or crop? Crop. Good job. Yep. So I want you guys to challenge yourselves to start shooting, and this is another one. This one's easy. This one's a crop. I want you to start challenging yourselves to shoot horizontal. Don't make double the work for you. Shoot horizontal, but shoot it so you can crop it vertically, so your editor can, okay? And I got a hack for this too later. All right, so framing. So here you go. You can take pictures of this as well. Just remember, if they're facing left or right, place them on the opposite vertical line, leaving that look space, okay? So just like we've got here. Now, what about these two shots? This was a 2-camera shoot. Can I flop or crop these? Top one, flop or crop? Crop. Bottom one, flop or crop? Flop, exactly. You got it. This is what they look like. I don't know about you, but anytime I see a reel and somebody has a shot like this, I hate it. Whew. Just their face is so big on my phone. All right, scene 5, accessories. Let's talk about accessories. So my top 3 for production, besides mics and lighting are huge, and you guys will get all these too. How many of you guys have, when you're taking pictures and stuff like that, or if you're doing behind the scenes stuff, how many of you guys have one of these? They go right on top of your mirrorless or your DSLR camera, right in your, it's a cold shoe mount, right in the hot shoe. These are great. These are fantastic, and they will hold your phone so you can actually get your vertical orientation stuff right then and there. I almost always have a crossbody bag with me, okay? Stays there. I've got my phone in it. It can fit a small drone in it because the drone is going to be the next thing. Guys, drones really do elevate your footage. You do have to have a license to fly them commercially, but drones are, like especially this Mavic Mini, it's a somewhat small investment that can really elevate what you're doing. This one specifically, you use your phone as the screen to fly it. And a lot of it with these small drones like this, these small adventure drones, that footage can come right into the DJI app, right into your phone. So if you are doing sole like editing on your phone, all of that footage would be on your phone too. Okay, efficient editing. How many of my Premiere Pro users in here? Okay, if you are on Premiere Pro, these skins are amazing. Quick keys are huge. They can speed up your editing time, okay? So these skins can give you, like basically it tells you exactly where all of your tools are to be able to edit faster. Use your quick keys, your keyboard shortcuts. All right, yes, we're gonna get into editing demos. All right, how much time we got? 5 minutes, we can do it. Okay, really quick, we can come back to these, I can leave them. This toolkit is where everything is, okay? And then the learning newsletter, guys, I'm gonna start putting out a quarterly newsletter where basically I'm just gonna put like little tips and tricks in terms of shooting and editing. So if you wanna sign up for that, please do. So go ahead, take those QR codes, and then we are going to get into editing. And I'll bring this screen back up at the very end, okay? All right, here we go. All right, so I promised you guys some editing demos, so that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna show you guys this clip really fast, and then we're gonna do a few things with it. Some of the ones that I think are some of the most important ones. What happened to my volume? Guys, it was working before, I promise. There we go.
Look closely. This is where your food begins, where the hands that cultivate the soil
Okay, so I put a couple video clips in there because I wanted to show you guys a few different things with this timeline. By the way, that is an AI voiceover. So for those of you that haven't gotten into the AI voiceover world, Envato Elements has a great, you can get stock photography, videography, AI voiceovers. Highly suggest doing Envato because it also, the commercial licenses are fantastic. There's also some rumors that Adobe will also be doing the AI voiceovers pretty soon too. Okay, so with this one, I want to show you how you can automatically duck your music and you can auto reframe your sequence, okay? So music ducking, you go into your essential sound panel. It already knows this is music because it's using AI to figure that out. We're going to go down here to ducking, turn on ducking. Scroll down. You can switch these two. Just research what these do later. It's basically how fast your music ducks, how much it ducks, etc. And you go in here and you click generate keyframes, and it already, if you see these here, the little keyframes, it already did it. So now if I play this,
Look closely.
it already brought my music down. So if you were doing this manually, this probably took a couple minutes to do, maybe upwards of 5 to duck your music in the right areas. If you have like audio that's in and out, this saves a ton of time. So if you're bringing back up your music and down all throughout your timeline, that's huge. All right, so the next thing I want to show you guys is auto reframing. So you don't have to make 2 timelines. You don't need to copy this and figure out how you're going to crop everything into a 9:16 orientation. So you can actually go in here. This is the timeline over here. I'm going to right click this timeline. And we go to auto reframe sequence. We click auto reframe. We want it to go vertical 9:16. The motion tracking is sometimes it will actually track like a person if they're walking from one side of the clip to the other. Sometimes they can track it. It works okay. And then we hit create. Okay, so now this has been auto reframed to a 9:16. So let's see how it did.
Look closely. This is where your food begins, where the hands that cultivate the...
How about that? Okay, that's huge. So if you were trying to do this all manually, don't do that anymore. All right, how many of you, again, remind me if you're using Premiere Pro? Hands up, hands up. Okay, of those people, text-based editing? All right, so text-based editing, love it. Okay, we're gonna go in here. This is my husband, by the way. I had to shoot a video with him not too long ago. We're gonna go into our text panel. If you don't have your text panel on, you can do that under Window. So right here in this text panel, this gives me everything he's saying. It's telling me where there's filler words. It's telling me, sometimes it doesn't do great. Sometimes it can't figure out the agriculture stuff. But for the most part, it does pretty good. You can come up here to the filter section. And let's say I want to get rid of filler words. I just click filler words. It found 6 of them. I can go ahead and hit delete, delete all. See my timeline down here where now I have a bunch of cuts? So it cut all of that out. Okay, if I want to come back up here and if I want to see pauses, it's going to find pauses. You can adjust this to longer pauses or shorter pauses, and you click delete, delete all, done. Okay, so now I have a pretty clean timeline. The only problem is if you do need like a string of an interview where you're like, man, I need like at least 8 seconds before I bring some like B-roll on or something like that. And then sometimes you can get a little carried away with the cuts. But then also you can come out here and be like, yeah, okay, so I don't really want him saying this sentence right here. You can actually highlight that, Command X, and get rid of it. Okay, so there's no more coming down here, going delete or option delete and getting rid of that, okay? Or you just option deleting at the very beginning. So that's text-based editing. There's also, you can also copy these. So if you like highlight this, you can hit Command C, copy it, come to a different sequence, maybe not that one, and paste it in. Okay, so how I line up when I edit, how I line it up is I usually always have an interview that I leave the interview. Okay, it's a sequence that's just the interview. After that, I duplicate the interview, and I usually work from that, or I create another timeline, and especially if I have like multiple interviews that I have to bring into one, I'm just copying and pasting into that one timeline then from there. Okay, so there's a lot of efficiency that you can do in terms of what you're doing in Premiere Pro. All right, so I think we're at time. I am here for questions if you have questions afterwards, because unless you can ask them, I don't know if we have time or not. But I'll bring this back up. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you have questions, I'll be up here. And hopefully I will see you guys next year too. So.